Good morning, Broncos country, and welcome to the 4th&99 pregame show. Today, we will be previewing the Denver Broncos and Philadelphia Eagles. So join Matt Staffiero, Keith Brugman, and myself as we discuss the keys to the game, injuries, and give our predictions on the game. Send us your questions, send us your comments, but most important, let's talk Denver Bronco football.
Broadcasting from the heart of the Colorado Rockies, it's 4th&99 with your hosts David Slade, Keith Brugman, and Matt Staffiero. Now let's talk football here on 4th&99.
Hey, good morning, Bronco fans. We're here for an exciting pregame show from Denver Broncos and Philadelphia Eagles. It's going to be myself, joined by Matt Staffiero and Keith Brugman. So join us as we break down the game, give you the keys to the game, injuries, everything that you need to know, and then we will give our predictions on who's going to win this game. But you guys send us your comments. Let's make this an interactive show, and let's have some fun, guys. So today's show is brought to you by our sponsor, Willow Seasonings and Blends, putting a little spice into your life. All right, let's get it started. Matt, Keith, how you gentlemen doing today?
Oh, it's Bronco Sunday. I mean, it can't get much better than this. We're coming off a win streak, which has been a rare sighting over the last few years. We had our good stretch, as most people would say at the beginning of this season, but three bad football teams. We've beaten one okay football team and one really good football team. So we'll see where it goes. How about you, Keith? How are you?
Man, yeah, it's always great when you go in, beat up on one of the top teams in the league in their house. Coming in, you're back into your own house this Sunday. Got a mediocre team, got a bye week just on the cusp, I should say. And man, it's a good day to be rallied up for some blue and orange in the stadium. So,
oh yeah, definitely. And I think Keith brought this up on our Wednesday evening show, but to go into Dallas and have one of their players say it was embarrassing of how the Broncos fans took over their stadium. So, man, that was a great feeling, and hopefully we get more of the same today. But let's break into injuries first, and let's get started on that. Our offensive line has just taken a beating. Matt, we got several key players out along the offensive line. I mean, how do you think these guys fill in?
I mean, it's going to be a tough gig to follow. I mean, we've seen Calvin Anderson step in last week for Garrett Bowles. Cam Fleming had to come in and do a late sub. Quinn Miners had to come in and do a late sub. We're going to have to see Cam Fleming and Quinn Miners again today. I don't know. I have my concerns. There's a good defensive line in Philadelphia. Fletcher Cox is a dominating run defender. I'm still debating on who I want to put as my guys, who needs to step up there. But it's going to be an offensive lineman, Keith. What's on your mind about this? All these injuries.
And Keith, you're on mute right now.
Keith, you're on mute.
hey, whoops, sorry about that. We're don't mute me. Oh, I muted myself. I'm sorry. For me, it's a motivator, right? We've seen guys go down and we've seen guys step up. I love the way that I saw Calvin Anderson play. I love the way I saw Cameron Fleming play. Bringing in the formerly known as Gut, Quinn and make a line. And, I'm excited just to see how that group come together. It's, to me, an offensive line is not much like a basketball team or a hockey line, right? Sometimes you got to switch it up a little bit. Sometimes you get a little bit better chemistry. And so, though it's never good to have guys down, I'm kind of excited to see what these guys put together on the field today.
Oh, yeah, definitely. And Keith.
Oh, go ahead. Dave, sorry. I didn't mean to cut you off.
And Keith, our defense, is probably, besides, the linebackers that we've lost and we got guys in now, we're probably the healthiest we've been, for most of the season. What are your thoughts? Who on this defense, that's a fill-in player has to step up today?
Boy, Jeez. A fill-in player. That's tough. That's a tough one, Dave. I mean, it seems like those guys have been filling in for a while now, and doing a pretty good job. I I know that when it comes to Baron Browning, if he hits the field, and that's the I guess the one for me is if it's an if, then Baron Browning is probably my guy that really needs to continue to step it up. But there's some question about him too, though. So we'll have to see about that as well.
Yeah. And Matt, do you think we see more of the same from Jonathan Cooper today? The guy who's came in, took over for Von Miller. I mean, what are your thoughts? I mean, and what are your thoughts on the overall health of the defense right now?
I mean, it's been quite the roller coaster for health. I mean, just as a team in general. Defensively, though, it's been rough. I mean, when you're on your fifth inside linebacker, your sixth inside linebacker at times, you're losing one of your top paid corners in Bryce Callahan. I mean, you're bringing in Kenny Young and gets 2 weeks, not even a full week of practice, and he's starting. I mean, injuries have been the livelihood of this defense, but it's rallied them together. It's created a bond of we were number one. We were supposed to be one of the best defenses. We fell apart, and now we have injuries, but their heart has shown and time again. And there is a guy that I'm going to highlight that's a little bit different. Well, back to your question real quick. I forgot Jonathan Cooper. The dude's got, I mean, he is the heart of this team right now. He's overcome something major in the offseason. He's having to replace probably the biggest name in my generation of Broncos football in Von Miller. And he's came in and he's shown up 2 weeks in a row. I don't think the momentum's stopping today, especially with the iffy Philadelphia offensive line who's had a couple injuries up front. But my guy that I want to see step up, or not necessarily step up, but he's going to fill in well on that defense. We've been using him everywhere, and that's Caden Stearns. If he gets another interception, he ties the record for rookie interceptions in the rookie season. So let's see if he can pull off one or two today.
Yeah, and Buana Beast, he says Kenny Young is someone he's looking forward to watch today, and I agree. I think Kenny Young has done nothing but a great job since he's come on board with the Broncos. So
I got a bone to pick real quick because we brought up Kenny Young's name, and I did it too. Pro Football Focus. Did you see the grades from last week?
I did not.
They graded him as the worst Bronco performer with a 41. The worst. Wow. And he was all over the field. Dude was sideline to sideline, knocking heads, breaking up passes.
Well, you know how I feel about those guys over there.
I like PFF, but today we're not friends.
So yeah. So I definitely don't think too highly of PFF, the way they grade things and stuff like that. So let's jump into COVID. The Broncos are really getting hit by COVID now. We got Drew Lock out. We got some other players out. The big one this week, though, is Pat Shurmur. Keith, in your opinion, what do you think Mike Shula is going to do stepping in for Pat Shurmur? What kind of game plan are you expecting out of him?
Yeah, absolutely. The one thing that I looked at, I went back and I looked at his tape, really, I guess, and what he did. And if you really go back to the beginning of his career, you have Mike Shula with the Jags. It's Gerard's first year, and he probably had one of the best running games out there with Maurice Jones-Drew and Jonathan Taylor at the time. Fast forward, he gets Cam Newton in 2011. He goes out and gets Rookie of the Year, throws for 4,051 yards, and we all know the type of running quarterback he ended up being. So what I expect from Mike is to actually put together a great run game and not be afraid to go deep as well and beat him over the top. So a lot of run, big throws over the top, and I'm excited for what Mike Shula is bringing. He's got experience. It's not some new guy that just has to come up and it's the special teams coach being the offensive coordinator or something crazy like this. I'm excited for what Mike Shula could put on the field for the Broncos today.
And I agree with you. I'm excited too, Matt. I'm
not as optimistic.
I'm going to throw this over to you, Matt. I mean, Mike Shula is an experienced offensive coordinator, play caller. Why was there any hesitation on who to make the the fill-in offensive coordinator for the Broncos, do you think?
I mean, you got, there's Modkins, who's in the running or in contention for TCU's head coaching gig. He's a great coach. He's been solid here for a while. Then, there's Mike Munchak, who has a ton of experience, probably, more experience than what Shula does as in terms of a coach. He's been a coach forever, Hall of Famer, great offensive line coach. We've seen what he's done with the offensive line here in Denver. And then, Vic Fangio, it's hard for him to let go of control. And unless it's a guy he trusts, hence what happened to Scangarello a couple seasons back, he doesn't like to let go of the reins too much. But Shula, I think, it was an executive decision, probably like, nope, we're not going to get all these hands in the pot. Get the hands out the cookie jar and let's see what Shula's got. To go back to Keith's point, you pointed out great things about Shula. The one thing that we kind of have forgotten is he's been paired up with Pat for a while. So he was the OC out in New York when Pat was head coach. He followed Pat here. How much is Pat Shurmur kind of worn off on him since those Cam Newton years, since those Gerard years? We're going to find out today. Does Mike Shula bring out the panic sheet, or did he inherit last week's game plan? And we got to hope it's last week's game plan and not the panic sheet, or it's going to be a long day for us.
Well, and that's one thing is that the COVID positive test came in late in the week, which is probably good for the Broncos. That means the game plan was already developed. It was set. You're not going to roll out on Friday afternoon and say, okay, Mike Shula's in charge. We're changing the game plan now. So we're going to roll with whatever they have game plan today.
That panic sheet, though, that's been here for a while. That's part of the every week game plan.
So, it wasn't last week. And I think the key to that game, Keith, and I think the key, Keith, is the Broncos jumping ahead. What do you think the Broncos need to do to get ahead of Philadelphia in this game? And you are on. Okay.
Yeah, no, to get ahead in this game, I think we need to see those a couple of 3-and-outs early. We need our defense to step up, much like we saw in Dallas, right? Dallas was kind of greedy. They went out first 4th down they get. They're just across the 50-yard line. No punt. They're gonna show us who's boss. And we stopped them on 4th down. We stopped them multiple times on 4th down. But what we need to see today, when they get the ball, I want to see a 3-and-out. And when they get the ball again, I want to see another 3-and-out. And if that's the case, then all of a sudden we've turned the table. Last week, I talked about it. Anybody who tuned into the show, and thanks for everybody who's tuned in today. But last week, I talked about time of possession being the number one key, one of the top keys of last week's game. And we killed time of possession. And that's because we got them off the field. They weren't scoring points, obviously, and kept the ball in our offense's hands where we could run the ball.
Yeah, Matt, and I'm going to pretty much address the same question to you. Philadelphia gives up about 123 yards a game in rushing. Does Denver have to make the ground game their priority today?
Yeah, absolutely. It needs to be a priority every week. Anyone who tells you otherwise, that's crazy. This team is built to play off of a successful run game. We've seen it time and time during our consecutive losing streak when Teddy Bridgewater was forced to throw north of 35 times a game. That's when we've seen, terrible offensive production, 3-and-outs, sacks. It was horrible. But when we are running the ball efficiently, allowing Teddy to find his groove, then those big plays open up. It's a calculated attack. So that was going to be my thing. Shula cannot abandon the run too early. And it's going to come down to what we said last week. Efficiency, 3rd down conversion rate, keeping it 3rd and short. If you come out and you throw it deep to, you run it, straight into the back of your center on 1st down, and then go, 2nd and 7, and you try to throw it deep twice, you're at 3rd, or, you're in 3rd and 7, your conversion rate's going to be almost nothing. We're terrible on 3rd and long. But when we've seen us get put into good positions on 3rd and 2nd by, getting a good mix of pass and run, using the running game as our backbone, we were able to convert on those 3rd downs, extend what Keith said last week in terms of time of possession, and run away with the game early. That's exactly how this team needs to play every single game. Even if the run isn't working, you pound it until they crash those safeties. Then you hit them over the top, not throwing outside the numbers 40 times a game. Teddy Bridgewater will never win you a game that way.
No, and I agree, and I think the Broncos do need to stay on schedule. We can't get into these second and long situations or third and long situations and become predictable. So we really need to do it. And one thing we didn't touch on and we sort of skipped over is Sweat from Philadelphia is questionable for today. So we don't know. I haven't heard if he's going to go today or not. So that may be a little blessing for us if he's out of the game today. So we'll see. We'll see how that goes, and hopefully he, can't go, which will help us out. Offensively, I mean, Keith, who do you think really needs to step up today offensively to make sure that this team gets ahead, and controls the game like we did last week against Dallas? You're on mute, Keith.
I'm so sorry, guys. I'm obviously not focused, but I'm focused in on this. Right tackle. Garrett Bowles was out last week. Cameron Fleming came in. But I'll tell you what. We have Javon Hargrove this week. And Javon Hargrove has 43 tackles, 6 sacks, and 1 forced fumble. So Cameron Fleming, he's got his hands full this week, and hopefully no holding penalties. But he's got his hands full this week. So that's the guy who really needs to just step up. I did see some great help by, and I know I'm he's my guy, but Eric Saubert helping out on that right tackle spot did fantastic last week as well. But Cam Fleming, let's get it.
Okay. And then Matt, Keith's saying Cam Fleming is going to have to really step up and be an MVP type player today. Who do you see?
Oh, yeah, definitely. Just to piggyback a little bit off of what Keith said, because Cam Fleming was on my list of people who I need to see perform well today. I was gonna have him more in my step up category, but I'm gonna audible. Hey, we're live. Let's call an audible. But on Cam Fleming though, it's not only on who he's facing in front of him; it's who he's got next to him. He's got a rookie, a kind of raw talent in Quinn Miners right next to him. While Quinn looked great last week, the spotlight's all on him. That's where they're going to send the pressure today. And we've seen when a rookie gets a little overwhelmed, we go back to Dalton Reisner's rookie year, at the beginning of the season when he got his first, when he was pretty green on the field still. That's where they were sending the blitz. Lloyd Cushenberry, that's where they're sending the blitz last year. Now Quinn Miners has got the target on his back. Cam Fleming's going to have to not only help Quinn keep his, focus on what he's doing and keeping the assignment, but keep his morale up. Because if he's letting a bad sack get on, or he's getting twisted around or misses a block, those things get into a rookie's head. So Cam's really got to step up and be that leader today. And, typically where we would see someone like Bobby Massey, who's kind of been through that before. So we're going to have to really see Cam step up as being a leader today. As far as my MVP goes, who I need to have an MVP performance, has been a guy that outshined everybody last week, and that's Javonte Williams. Javonte Williams has to have a big game today. We got to see him get close to or break that 100 yards again. If we can't get one of our running backs over 100 yards today, then it's our rest of our offense is going to look pretty stagnant, and I think we're going to have issues converting and keeping that efficiency. So I hope that they can get to the 100 yards. But I also want to see Javonte Williams using a screen game. We've seen, CMC use a lot in screens, things like that back in the day. Those aren't major adjustments to be making. And it might catch Philadelphia off guard. We don't run screens as much as we used to. So maybe see Javonte Williams or even Melvin Gordon get utilized in the screens. So that's definitely going to be my MVP today in Javonte Williams. We'll see if he can break the 100 yards today. Dave, I threw this lob up to you last week. Does he break the 100 yards?
I'm going to say yes today. I think that, like I mentioned, Philadelphia gives up a lot of rushing yards. I mean, Javonte Williams is just showing that he is going to be a stud on this team. And I think today you ride the guy and let him go. He's got that breakaway speed. He's got the speed to run people. I mean, the power to run people over. He's just like one of those guys that can do it all for you. Keith, Matt brought up somebody something important is Miners, Quentin Miners getting the start at right guard. What do you think? I mean, do you like the decision to start him over Mute, who's a little more seasoned?
Yeah, I kind of goes back to exactly what I was talking about that those five guys, right, and how they are like a hockey lineup or that basketball lineup. I think these guys are just the chemistry is good for these guys. You know what I mean? I think they work well together. Maybe it's a little bit younger group. Maybe they just have a better communication because of that. Maybe it's because they were all, you know, not the number one, not on the first team. They were all sitting second team, and maybe they developed some relationships there. But these guys are doing well on the field. One question I guess I have: do you think we end up running a little bit more left versus right in this game? It seems like we are a run right heavy team. We set up a lot of things to the right, but with Fletcher Cox and Calvin Anderson being on Fletcher Cox, and he only has 11 tackles, 1 sack. Do you go more left today rather than running into the teeth of the defense?
Matt, what do you think of that?
Absolutely not. That's one name you don't want to test. Fletcher, you give Fletcher Cox a platform to shine, he will toss you around like a sack of potatoes. We know Calvin Anderson is good, but he's not an MVP. He's not Garrett Bowles level, and you're running at an All Pro. Should you switch it up and go that way?
11 tackles though, Matt. 11
But when
solo.
he faced a backup, technically Calvin Anderson, he was slated to be a swing tackle for the right side.
I understand.
He did well last week. We'll give him that. But that's an All-Pro you're going against, one that's known to be a great run defender.
Well, wait a minute, Matt. Didn't he just go against Gregory last week?
Yeah, but Randy Gregory's had one good season versus consecutive All-Pro seasons.
Okay, but Fletcher Cox is having an off season.
And correct? This does not need to be the game where he switches the momentum on.
Okay. 11 tackles
sitting on the right. You don't make that your primary side.
43 on the right.
But you also got to remember,
I get where you're coming from, Keith.
Pulling guard. He's nursing a shoulder injury. So that left side is beat up. It's an inexperienced left tackle, a hurt left guard. On the right side, you got a healthy Cam Fleming, who is a run blocker, and you got a Quinn Miners who looked great in the run blocking game last week. You hit that right side all day. You attack it as much as you can. Will you see us go to the left? Probably. But with the shoulder injury to Dalton Reisner, Fletcher Cox, dude, his upper body strength. I mean, there's like bench pressing videos from like last year. The dude's like killing it still. You don't want that. You don't want to see our 30-year left guard be completely, utterly destroyed because he's not healthy enough to take him on one-on-one on a pool.
Yeah, I just don't, hey, guys have up years, they have down years, they have long careers of Pro Bowls, and then they start falling off. I just look at 11 tackles versus 43 tackles on the other side. And there's a guy that's eating you up on that right side. And you have maybe a guy who, for whatever reason, is not having his good year. I don't want to ignore that. I don't want to just try to say, hey, we're strong over here, so we're just going to put our strength on strength when you have this weakness on the other side that you could easily exploit. So,
and I agree,
see a
Keith,
good game plan, then you're going to give you, if we want to attack the left side, then we're going to have to get it to where we're seeing Quinn do the pull. We're going to let Reisner do the shift and send. It's going to be the gut versus the All Pro, and hopefully that would be your best matchup if we're going to attack the outside edge and go towards that side. Do I think they should run to the left? Absolutely. I'm not saying let's run 50 times to the right. I'm just saying I don't know if you make that your priority.
So, and Keith, I agree with you. If a defense has a weakness, you attack it. And right now, Fletcher Cox is that weakness. So, yeah. I mean, apparently a whole bunch of teams think that too, because Philadelphia is ready to trade him and nobody was interested in him.
So part of it was there was some personality clash stuff. He wasn't really wanting to play. There was talk about retirement. He doesn't want to leave Philadelphia. He never wanted to leave Philly.
Guy wants to retire. Yeah, don't go against him.
And Buana Beast brings up a good point.
I would think he'd rather retire than leave Philly.
Buana Beast brings up a good point here. His concern is for the line getting to the second level. And we saw him do that very well last week against Dallas, and we need to do it again. These guys need to get off their blocks, and they need to get to the second level. How do you think we do that, Keith? Are we gonna do a lot of polling, things like that, or are we just gonna line up and play smash mouth football with these guys? What do you think is the key to success here?
What I saw was in the past was a run game that tried to do exactly the, hey, we're just going to line up, smash it right against them, go man on man, and we got nowhere. And then last week, we talked about it. It was like the game plan we all were looking for, that we all wanted. All of a sudden, we had guys pulling, guys jumping to the second level, getting, chipping their guy and moving on and hitting that next level. And we saw runs that went, I don't even, we need a stat guy. Maybe Dave can help me with this one, but I don't know what our average was in Dallas, but we were putting up some monster yards. And it wasn't just because Javonte Williams is number one in the league in breaking tackles. It was because of our offensive line. So we just need to see a lot more of that same idea, that same scheme, that same game plan that was working in Dallas. Just replicate it, put it right back out there. It'll work again. Those guys were working well with it.
No, they definitely were working well with it, and when you're averaging between 5 and 6 yards a pop, that really helps. That sets you up, to be on schedule and to not be behind schedule. So, Matt, receiving core. I mean, because we know we're going to throw the ball. We have to throw the ball, but we probably want to set it up with the run, especially within Kinney says that Sweat is out today. I haven't officially heard that yet, so I don't know if Kenny can let us know where his source is. But if Sweat's out, that definitely helps us, in establishing the run game. So, who do you think in the receiving core really needs to step up today?
I think we need to see Jerry Jeudy have a good game today. And by a good game, that doesn't necessarily means in result of production. We just need to see him continue to be that distraction across the middle of the field. When he's running across the middle of the field, you're seeing Tim Patrick come across on the opposite side, and that's when we're hitting him for those 10, 15-yard gains. Jerry Jeudy's just a gravitational pull right now. And, if he happens to get the football in his hands, it's going to be interesting to see, how is he looking? Because he's gotten a couple of receptions, but they've all been kind of crossers toward the sideline. We haven't really seen him get an open field pass. So I really want to see him catch the ball in the open field. Let's see if he could take one up the middle, and let's see what that footwork is. We've seen when he has the ball in his hand, he's very elusive, and his route running is fantastic. So let's see if he can break one today. But Cortland Sutton was kind of the odd man out last week too, though. Tim Patrick is slowly taking control of this team as the top receiver in terms of production. And is that because they're, the opposition in last week? Was it just Cortland Sutton's not going to be a part of the game, or was it just that Teddy Bridgewater's finding a preferred target? I don't know what your guys' thought is. Cowboys did shut Sutton down last week, though.
Yeah, and I just want to clarify something for Bawana Beast. He has Sweat from Washington football team, and no, it is Josh Sweat from the Philadelphia Eagles. He's in concussion protocol, so they said he was expected to clear, but I don't know if there's been an official word or not. So
I'll do a little research on the side.
So, Keith, tight end game. What do you think today? What do we need to see at it? I know you're a big tight end guy.
Yeah.
You like to see these big guys rumbling across the middle. What is your key with the tight ends, and what do they need to do? Who do you need to see step up?
Yeah, I mean, Albert O was a little bit dinged up this week, so hopefully he comes out. He's got to be our guy. I saw Sauerbert again. He was fantastic in the run game. He hasn't been the breakout pass catcher that I've wanted him to be, and I think he can be. He's hauled in a few, but Albert O is obviously where that offense is going through as far as the passing game is concerned. I don't see though it being a big tight end game this week, though. I think it's going to be a little bit more running back and receivers. I think with the inexperience that we have on the offensive line, with the wanting to get the run game going, I think those tight ends are going to be doing probably a little bit more blocking than actually any pass catching this week. So from that aspect, then I got to go to my guy Eric Saubert, because Watch him on the right side all day. If you want to just divert your eyes for a minute from where the ball's at and where it's flying, just watch Eric Salbert for one series. He does fantastic on that right side, and it really helps the run game. He was helping seal that edge. They got all those outside runs to the right side. So that's where I really see the tight ends making an impact.
Real quick. So there's not been an official word on Josh Sweat yet. However, Montez Sweat for Washington football team was placed on IR yesterday. So maybe it's just commenters got it confused. So we have not heard an official word on Josh Sweat for Philly. It, like you said, David, it does sound like he was on his way to clearing concussion protocol and being able to play today. That was the last report. It's probably going to be a game time decision. But real quick on the tight ends, I kind of miss a little bit here of Keith's thing. But I'm worried about Noah Fant coming back today. And I know that's going to surprise a lot of people. Noah Fant struggles in run blocking. Noah Fant struggles in pass protection. And Eric Salbert came in and did fantastic last week. If we're going to run the ball, I'm starting to wonder, will we see more packages with Eric Salbert on the field and Noah Fant on the sideline? And if that's the case, does Noah become a little bit more disgruntled than he already was?
It's something to watch. I think that is a good question to ask. If Noah Fant's not going to factor into the game plan because we're trying to install more of a running game,
Yep.
I think Noah could become a little disgruntled and a distraction. I mean, what are your thoughts, Keith?
Yeah, he's not the quietest guy, obviously, in the Denver Broncos locker room. He seems like he speaks his piece at will. I'm hoping this team is pulling together, but there has been players like Fant that just seem like they're kind of an outsider, an outlier. And again, I think, in my personal opinion, it all goes back to his relationship with Drew Lock. So who knows? Maybe it's a package them up and send them out together in the offseason. But Fant has not been the production that we wanted him to be, and he certainly hasn't shown it this year. And guys like Alberto and Salbert are showing him up on the field. I hope that we just package it up and say, hey, we're running, and get the right guys out on the field, because you're absolutely right. Fant is he's a liability when he's in run blocking. We've seen it. Seen some bad whiffs and some just lack of effort at times. So,
yeah. All right, guys, let's move on to the defensive side of the ball.
Let's do it.
Jalen Hurts, the guy can run. The guy has more rushing yards than any of our running backs do on the season. So, let me ask you this, Matt: do you utilize a spy on Jalen Hurts? And if you do, who is it?
Oh, that's simple. You have, depending on your package, it's going to either be Kenny Young or Caden Stearns. They have the lateral quickness to get to him and cut him off. But at the same time, though, this is going to come back to a similar game plan as last week, because Dak is a mobile quarterback. What do you need to do to keep him home? You need to keep your edges at home, creating good interior pressure to feed him to those edges. Don't let him break to the edge himself. You feed him to your edges. When you are utilizing a spy, that's when you crash them. As soon as they break, if they get through that first wave of defenders, that's when you got to crash your spy. I'm not as concerned as I think you guys are in Jalen Hurts in the run game today. I think it's going to be he's going to have a good game, but I don't think it's going to be enough to carry them to a full-blown victory on the legs of Jalen Hurts. I do think he gets close to an over-under of 50, but I don't think he gets it.
Okay, and Keith, what's your thoughts? I think we're a little more shored up in the middle, the interior now with Baron Browning and Kenny Young. I mean, if it was Josie Jewell and Alexander Johnson in there, we saw what some mobile quarterbacks can do to the middle. So what is your opinion on Jalen Hurts? Do we put a spy on him? Does he get over or under? What's your over under on him with 50 yards? Do you think under or over?
Well, I think Matt might be underestimating what he's capable of. Jalen Hurts, especially when you get a rookie quarterback like that, who is also already a scrambling quarterback. What do you do in those pressure situations? You revert back to exactly what you're good at and what your escape mechanism has always been, which is running outside and sometimes ducking in and then going for yards, which he obviously can do. I think it's a bigger concern, but almost opposite of what Matt was saying. I think we need to go just head in with, again, that same game plan that we got from Dallas, right? It was obvious from the very beginning. Our mindset was we're going to stop the run. We're going to stop the run. And even if that leaves our wide receivers one-on-one, we're going to stop the run. They didn't spy Dak. They brought pressure or they brought somebody or dropped him back in coverage, one of the two. But they did not sit there and spy him. And I think that's, if we do spy, I hope it's only Kenny Young. I just seen too many times where rookies come in and they're too tentative to play that spy position. And with a guy like Jalen Hurts, I think you're just going to burn yourself. You're better off playing good cover. I mean, covering that run, playing good coverage behind it, and rallying to the ball, in my opinion. So.
Yeah,
Yeah.
and I don't expect for the spy to be utilized very frequently today. Like I said, I do think there is a concern for his ability to run, but I don't think it's going to dominate how Vic Fangio wants to approach this team. They have a solid running back in Howard. They've got some young receivers, and if we get too busy to be worried about what Jalen Hurts going to do on the ground, what's he going to do, what this RPO, this or that, what happens? They get the 3rd and short. We're crashing the lines. We're ready to go all in to stop this mobile quarterback. And then the Henry Ruggs play happens. Then the Hollywood Brown plays happen. We cannot make the entire base of our defense the fear of what Jalen Hurts is going to do with his legs today. It's going to be what do we need to do to contain it, but we need to play good coverage on the back end. We also have a very good edges in Stephen Weatherly and Jonathan Cooper. In experience, yes, but they're quick and they're hungry. Same thing with Malik Reed if he's able to go today.
Yeah, and you're speaking exactly why I don't think we need to have any type of spy coverage, and I'm certainly not talking about crashing the line on 3rd and short.
Oh no,
I'm talking about bringing that one rather than having a spy sit back there and watch to make sure that Jalen Hurts doesn't do an RPO and beat you on the outside on 3rd and short. Just bring him, say, get into the backfield. One guy, not the entire team. We saw too many times, like you said, if you go back to Hollywood Brown, you go back to the Ruggs play. No, that was like a house blitz and leave everybody just flailing out there. And that's not the decision.
Absolutely.
That's not the plan I want to bring. Not at all.
Yeah, that's what I'm saying.
Yeah,
we have to avoid. I think we're in agreement on that.
And those ends, they need to do their job and they need to contain. You can't come just crashing down. Your job is to contain the end of that line, and they need to make sure they do that. But I'm agreement with Keith. I think, and probably both of you guys, I think that Denver just needs to go out with their defensive plan, and the players just need to execute their assignments. I think if we do that, we don't have any problems with slowing down Jalen Hurts and their running game. Let's go to the passing side now. Devontae Smith.
I forgot. You actually dropped. You actually asked me how many yards over under.
Oh, I'm sorry.
And I did. I totally forgot. I'm going to say over, but I don't think he gets past 60. I really think he's going to hit that 50 to 60. It's not a go crazy type of day, but he can get it done. It does. I mean, we're talking like literally maybe six runs by this guy, and you can be passing over 50 yards. He's that explosive. So especially if we don't contain, he could do it, but nothing too big. We'll leave predictions later, but I have faith.
Right. And so let's switch over to the passing game. Devontae Smith. I mean, the guy's just a speedster. He's having a decent season for a rookie. Matt, who would you put on him today?
I mean, as much as I'm hesitant to throw him out there, the best option is Patrick Surtain. Kyle Fuller has been a liability against shiftier guys. If Patrick Surtain's unable to go, then it's got to be Kyle Fuller, even though I'm concerned about it. Jalen Reagor's too fast. He's way too fast to throw Kyle Fuller on. So it's just going to be interesting because Philadelphia does got some really good weapons in Reagor and in Smith and they move him around. They keep him frequent. So they're going to put us in difficult matchups, and it's going to have to be on Vic Fangio to get creative to make sure that some of these veteran guys like Fuller have assistance over the top, because we've seen him be a liability against speed guys. Hollywood Brown, Henry Ruggs, we've already seen it happen. And there's going to be situations where they're going to be lined up against him. But my top guy would be PS2, but I'm not sure if he's going to play.
Okay, Keith, to you, if you're Denver, I mean, they do have two faster guys, two good. Are you running more of a man system, or you're going to run a zone? Is there anybody that you're going to double on their receiving core?
For the most part, I'm going to man up on this game. Again, I think that we need to have enough underneath coverage, whether it be an RPO situation. But, for me, we can always end up bringing a guy down. Justin Simmons obviously can help out tremendously. He's probably one of the best cover safeties out there. He doesn't get enough credit for that. I mean, he's a hard hitter, but he can turn and run and be with a guy. So a little bit of help. I'm going to put a little bit more faith in Fuller. I know we've been down on him, and we've been down on him hard, but I really think a game ball last week in Dallas makes a big difference. I think this guy's turning the corner a little bit in his mindset and the way he's playing in this defense. So I expect Fuller to have a good game. And I think the key that we saw last week, Dak had no time in that pocket. So we could see the linebacking core, I guess, be a lot more involved because of the short and underneath throws. So look for some breakups there, and those guys having to step up just as much as those corners and safeties.
Yeah, and it seems like, Matt, Devontae Smith is, Jalen Hurts' favorite target. I mean, he's targeted him 62 times on the season, which is almost double of anybody else on that team. He has 38 receptions. He's averaging 14 yards a game. I mean, what are your thoughts on maybe doubling him?
You're going to have to be creative, in your terms of doing it. If he's coming across the middle, that's when we're going to be dropping those backers back into those soft zones. We're going to see, the one thing I don't want to see is where he's coming across the middle and he's taking the attention of Kareem Jackson or Justin Simmons and causing them to step up into the middle of the field. And then that's when the distraction of what we claim Jerry Jeudy's great at has become Devontae Smith's distraction. And then that's when they target us. Because, we talk about targets, but Jalen Reagor's got the home run speed, the home run ability. And if we put too much attention on just Devontae Smith, that's when we may see us get burned a couple of times. I want to trust our guys. If they're going to be in man, just trust them. Let the safety stay over the top. You got to account for that speed. Devontae Smith on 5 to 10 yard crossers isn't going to kill you, especially once you catch on. I mean, but you just can't fall into the trap of saying we're going to double this guy. Reagor will beat you over the top. They got a solid tight end who's good at doing those rub routes too, in Goddard. So it's going to be hard to double these teams. They got weapons. I think you're going to have to trust your guys on an island today and just play that cover 2 soft top and see how it goes.
Really quick, guys, before we move on to our pick'em segment.
Yeah.
Matt, who's your key defensive guy?
Surprisingly, Biwana Beast nailed my guy here in Deshaun Williams. I really hope he's on the field today. And if he is, he's been able to make a difference in the run game. And I want to see him destroy that Philadelphia offensive line. He was one of the reasons why we've had solid pressure all week. All game last week. Mike Purcell's coming off an injury. I was huge on Mike Purcell last year. I've been beating him up all year. I just don't think he's the same player. And I don't want to see him on the field.
Okay, Keith.
Okay, really quick.
Who's your defensive star?
My defensive star, I'll just really quick. Brian Dawkins was just talking to DenverBroncos.com this week, and he had this to say. He was one of my top dudes. He had a high grade from me. He is an outstanding open field tackler. And then the leadership thing. He's a community dude as well, right? It's Justin Simmons, buddy. I think he's rallying this defense. I think he's becoming the leader back there with K-Jack. And I think he's the one who's out there not only getting involved in plays and breaking up passes and making tackles, but he's the one who's actually rallying this defense together and getting them playing as a team. I'm a little bit worried about zone. We played terrible in zone earlier in the year, so hopefully we see a little bit more man. But if we do play zone, I expect Justin Simmons to be the guy putting everybody in the right position in doing so.
Yeah. And as we shift to pick 'em, I want to just highlight one other player. I don't know if he's going to be a wrecking force, but I think his momentum will continue, and that is Cooper. I think he has the biggest boom or bust potential for this game today. With his inexperience, we know he loves to get after the quarterback, but if we don't practice that contain, that's when we're going to see big runs to the outside, whether it is Hurts or whether it's Howard, whether it's one of their other backs. He's got to play safe and stay home when he needs to stay home.
Do I dare say, though, that Jonathan Cooper looks better on that edge than Von Miller did when he would swing out super wide and leave that side open? It seemed like Von Miller was doing that all year, and all of a sudden we get Jonathan Cooper in there, and that edge looked better last week.
Yeah. Kenny's got a great point here as well. That's one of
we're
our
gonna
biggest
have to-
weaknesses. But we'll see if Kenny Young or Baron Browning, or I mean, hopefully it's not Justin Sternard, or hopefully that's not the case.
Well, yeah,
But-
yeah, and we'll see. Maybe Stern steps up or something. And maybe throw Stearns in there and go with K. Jackson and Simmons. So sort of maybe 5 backs and have Stearns in there to take care of the tight end. So, all right, guys, let's hit our pick'em segment. I'm gonna just boy, I was off last week. So I've been behind you guys. Well, I was there for a while. I was close to Matt, and then I started falling behind. So then I decided, well, I'm going to start taking some chances. That did not pay off for me. Last week I got 2 picks right. So people out there listening, do not use me as a betting reference. If you do, you might want to go the opposite of what I'm picking. So
we go back 2 weeks, and we thought my 5 picks was bad, Dave. I don't know, man.
Yeah, 2 is probably. I should get some sort of trophy for that.
I think it would be a broken trophy.
Yeah.
After all the ground you made, too, like you were made so much ground. You and Keith both were down with 6 games 2 weeks ago.
Yeah, I said
caught up, and now it's a 6-game gap again.
Well, maybe Keith can overtake you this week, Matt.
We'll see. And
someone needs to take him out. Someone else needs the lead. It's what?
Yes.
Week 9?
It's
my goodness.
It's been Matt since the beginning. So, all right, let's move on. So,
all right, let's do it.
Thursday's game, we all went with Baltimore. Oh boy, who saw that coming?
Nobody.
Nobody saw that one coming. All right, let's move on to the first game today. Atlanta Falcons at the Dallas Cowboys. Can Atlanta go in and do to Dallas what the Broncos did to them? Matt, your pick is?
Oh, it's the Cowboys. The Falcons' defense is atrocious. The offense has been getting some chemistry, though, but I still don't think the defense can contain the Cowboys' offense as well as Denver did.
Right, and I'm the same. I think Dallas is going to bounce back today. Keith?
I think Dallas bounces back. I think it's only on the offensive side. I think this could be a really fun game to watch. I think this could be our first game with 80 points in it. Both teams over 40 points. So it could be a fun. It could be a track race.
Yep.
That's
all
a
right.
good one there, Keith.
All right, next game. The Saints at the Titans. And I messed up the records there. Tennessee is not 4-4, so excuse me there. So,
dang! I was like,
yeah, sorry about that typo.
They've only lost twice, correct?
Yeah, so forget about that typo there.
They're not going to get loss number 3 today. Titans are going to their defense is going to handle Trevor Siemian and the Saints offense.
Right, and I'm going to agree with Matt 100%. Tennessee's going to dominate the Saints. And Keith?
Run teams, even when they lose their running back, and still run. Titans run away with it.
All righty, next game we got is Jacksonville at Indianapolis. Do we see a young Lawrence go on the road and get a victory here, Matt?
You do not know how bad I wanted to go with Jacksonville today. I wanted to do it so bad. I mean, they just beat the Buffalo Bills. They're coming off one of the biggest victories they've had. I mean, was it an ugly victory? Yeah. But it was still a W. But I just can't. I think Frank Reich's a great coach. I think they're going to do what they need to do defensively to fluster Lawrence, and the Colts bring home a win or take home their win.
Yeah, and I'm gonna go the same way. And I know Matt hates to hear this, but I think Carson Wentz is getting better and better every week. And I know Matt doesn't care too much for Carson Wentz. And
I
Keith,
mean, not as bad as Jerry Murr.
Keith, your pick.
Well, I really, really, really wanted Matt to pick the Jaguars as well because I
I
picked the
did
Colts,
too.
and that would have been beautiful. So, but no, Colts get it.
Hey, you know what? In the future, I control this presentation. I'll just change all Matt's picks.
Yes, if we have to go that route, Dave, we have to
All
go
right,
that route. I see how it
next
is.
game, please. Cleveland Browns at New England Patriots.
I'm gonna keep this short and simple. Bill Belichick's found his guy. Mac Jones is looking better each and every week. It makes me more sad that we didn't take a quarterback last year because Fields is looking great too. Patriots take this one.
You know, last time the Browns were missing their two starting running backs or their top two running backs, I said, "Oh yeah, Denver can beat them." Guess what happened? A guy came out and had just, a bang up game, a game of his career. I don't think that's going to happen today. I see the Patriots winning this one.
I was going to say, Dave, there's this thing called the Vic Fangio factor. It's Bill Belichick. I don't think it's happening.
Well, I love your guys'
Keith?
faith and think that everything is going well over in New England, but I'm sorry. I like what the Browns have been putting on the field, and one less distraction with OBJ gone out of the locker room. This is where I just end up taking over for Matt at the top of the title. I'm picking the Browns, baby.
All right, next game. The Buffalo Bills, surprisingly 5-3, which I thought they would have ran away with this division, or New England's right there with them, at the New York Jets. So I don't know, Matt.
The Miami Dolphins game gave me inspiration to want to go with an upset, but let's be real. Buffalo's coming off a bad week last week. They got to bounce back this week because if they don't, New England's right there and will take the lead. They got to win today. I'm going Bills.
On a team that can just go ahead.
And I'm gonna agree with Matt. The Bills are gonna bounce back here and beat a bad New York team.
Yeah, I mean, I don't want to say the Jets suck because I think the last time we said the Jets sucked, they came out and they hung a big old victory with White out there. But the Bills don't only score 6 points ever. They'll put up a ton, and the Bills get the win.
Yeah, this is not a game they can sleep on, though. This is a game they got to take seriously. I mean, the Bengals were performing well, and look what the Jets did.
You have to take every game seriously in the NFL. Look what the Cowboys are sitting there saying, we were just too overconfident for the Broncos. I don't know if that's really the reason why Denver went in there and dominated them, but that's their excuse. All right, next game.
Let's do it. Oh, yeah.
Does Detroit go into Pittsburgh and get their first win, Matt?
No. And I don't know if you guys knew this. Ben Roethlisberger is out today.
Yep.
Okay.
Mason Rudolph will get the start.
And I'm going to say even without Ben that Detroit's not going to win. I'm going to go with Steelers.
Yeah, 0-9 Detroit Lions. That's what I'm seeing too, guys. It's amazing. But I think the Steelers will end up still winning this game without their starting QB.
Before we move on, quick question. Do the Detroit Lions become the first team to be 0-16 and 0-17?
I'm going to say no. They'll stumble into a victory somewhere.
Yeah. It just happens.
They're not a horrible team. They've played a lot of close games, Yeah. So
they have
we'll
a good
see.
coach. It'll happen.
Maybe today's the day.
Maybe.
It's been a crazy. Last week was crazy. Maybe this week will be crazy. All right, next game.
Let's do it.
Tampa Bay Buccaneers at the Washington football team. Washington's 2-6. Tampa Bay 6-2. Can Washington beat Tom Brady, Matt?
I'm going to keep it simple, no.
And I'll go no as well.
And I'll go with the GOAT and say no. Buccaneers take it.
Clean sweep there. All right, on to the next game. Carolina at Arizona. I don't think Cam's starting today. I don't even know if Cam's on the active roster today. So Williams is the quarterback, I believe. Matt, is that true? PJ Williams?
I believe so. I did not do my research on Carolina. I'm not even going to lie.
You're like, they're not going to win this game anyway, right?
Yeah, don't.
So,
And Colt McCoy is starting today. Colt McCoy came in and beat the 49ers. I think they take care of Carolina today.
all right. And I went with Arizona on this one as well. Keith, clean sweep.
Clean sweep. One of the best teams in the league by far.
All right. And next game, the Minnesota Vikings at the Los Angeles Chargers.
The Chargers are human. They lose today. Vikings take home the W.
All right, Keith. I think we can start making up some ground on this guy. I'm going to go with the Chargers. Chargers have to bounce back sooner or later.
I mean, they won last week.
What do you think, Keith?
Yeah, for me, it pains me to do it. I never want to pick an in-division rival, but I just don't have faith in the Minnesota Vikings. Even when they do pull out victories, it's not an overwhelming win. So Chargers it is. They get back on track. I agree with you, Dave.
All right. And yes, and Matt is right. They did win last week against Philadelphia. I picked Philadelphia in that one. One of my brilliant picks last week. So, all right. Next game. All right. Seattle at Green Bay. This could be a good one. I have not heard yet if Aaron Rodgers is playing. Is he, Matt? Matt shaking his head. Yes. Okay. All right. Matt, who do you got in this one?
I don't doubt Aaron Rodgers often because when I do, it usually bites me in the behind. So I'm right in the Packers to keep the victory. It's snowing crazy out there from what I've heard as well.
Okay. All right. Now I'm going to go with the Packers as well, Keith.
Yeah. I mean, I love Russell Wilson, but not this week. It's the Pack.
All right. Oh, Buwana Beast corrected it too. It's PJ Walker who is starting for Carolina. Thank you, Buwana Beast. And Kenny said the same thing. So thanks you guys for straightening me out. I don't even know who PJ Williams is.
I knew you got Sterling right, but then you
I knew his initials were PJ.
I was like, now you got me confused. I mean, PJ Walker. I mean, he's failed to look good at the NFL level when he was doing his whole. I can't remember if it was AAF or XFL. The dude was taking home like the MVP. He was killing it in that league.
Yeah.
So
let's jump over to the next game. All right, tonight, great one, interdivision game, Kansas City at the Raiders. Matt, where are you going?
I'm gonna, the Raiders. They need They need to come back. They need a victory. As one former player said, 2 weeks followed up last week. Patrick Mahomes looks like a different player. He looks somewhat broken. This scheme is not working as well as it once was. I think the Raiders win.
Okay, and I am trying to make up some ground here, and I'm going to go with the Chiefs. I think that win against the Aaron Rodgers list, Green Bay Packers maybe propels them. I know it was Jordan Love, but I don't know. I just have a feeling that they're going to go in there and control the Raiders. I hope I'm wrong, but no, I don't. I hope I'm right because I need to make up ground. Keith?
Yeah. Well, I'm sorry, but I'm not going to make up ground on Matt on this one because we're both picking Raiders. I just think that Mahomes has not looked himself even last week, and you bring him into the Vegas stadium, and I think it'll be obvious that the Raiders are the better team right now.
All right, and on to the Monday night game. The Rams at the 49ers. Can San Francisco beat the Rams, Matt?
No. The 49ers are an ugly football team right now.
Are the Rams suffering from the OBJ curse because the same day he signs, or the day after he signs, Robert Woods tears his ACL? So Matt's going to go with the Rams. I'm going to go with the Rams as well. Keith, where are you going?
Same thing, the Rams, and some weird questions about Shanahan now all of a sudden in San Francisco. So, wow, how a year can change a thing.
Yeah, definitely. All right, guys, let's get on to the game. The Philadelphia Eagles at the Denver Broncos. Can we go into the bye week on a 3-game winning streak? Sitting at 6-4. Jerry Murr from the Rocky Mountain Sports Report said we were going to be 6-4, 5-5 at worst at the break. This guy might look like a genius. All right, Matt, I want you to tell me who's going to win, who's your MVP of the game, and the score, and let's make it sort of quick.
I'm going to keep it short and simple. The panic sheet has been shredded. Vic Fangio threw it in the shredder. They're going to trust the run game. Javonte Williams breaks 125 today from total yards from scrimmage. Broncos win 28-13. Done.
All right, and I am going. I'm taking it. Javonte Williams is your MVP, Matt.
Yes.
Okay. All right. I'm going to go Broncos going to win this thing. Broncos are going to win this. They're going to go 27-13. 27-13. And I'm going to pick Tim Patrick as my MVP.
Keith? All right, that brings it over to me, guys. I'm going to make it a three-way sweep, and gladly so. Denver Broncos end up winning this one. Again, going back to our Wednesday show, I think this passing game is going to take the forefront, and I think we'll see a lot more passing than we expect. We shut down the run, and the guy who ends up being the MVP, the guy I talked about earlier, my guy, Justin Simmons, he brings it home. Probably has multiple breakups. I give him one interception on the game. We seal it up. Ends up being a 27-17 win for the Denver Broncos.
All right, everybody, thanks for joining us today. Matt, Keith, it's been fun. Join Matt and Keith tonight on the post-game show at 6 p.m. Mountain Time. I will not be on it. As soon as I'm sign off here, I'm going to get my chicken wings off the smoker, throwing them, and I'm heading to the stadium, do some tailgating, go watch the Broncos beat down some Eagles. So, again, everybody, thank you for joining us. We will see you 6 p.m. tonight.